threading and dreading.
We really broke the budget on that one, huh?
Yeah.
I was about ready to say, Kooky Chris.
I was gonna say something obnoxious about how that like 15 seconds of silence is painful for me, but that was awful.
Yeah, it's hard
Steve
for you
Cohn as a zombie was better than that.
I did the last Halloween episode starting off as Bela Lugosi. I don't want to start off as Bela Lugosi again, so I don't know.
No, that was good.
Yes, that's a good one.
No.
I think I do a good Babadook. You like my Babadook?
No,
impression?
it's scary.
Don't let him in.
I
Don't let him in. Don't let him in.
I don't want to.
That little fucking kid. I wanted him to die so bad.
I'm so happy that's on Netflix.
Oh, it's such
It is really, really good.
I really like it. Steve did not like it. He was like, all the hype you put into this fucking movie, and it's not that good. And I'm like, let's watch it
What are
again.
you talking about? It was great. Ugh. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Halloween episode of Threading and Dreading.
And then we're gonna have some like creepy music playing in the background.
Yeah, I've got Bach's Toccata in B minor, but the traditional organ background music.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
4 more days till Halloween.
Halloween, Halloween, 4 more days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Wow. Yeah, that's a thing.
They've clearly never seen
Halloween
Halloween 3.
Yeah, nope.
No.
See,
The one where it's not Mike Myers.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
it's
Yeah.
the strangely meta one because John Carpenter wanted Halloween to be an anthology. He wanted each Halloween film to be about something different.
So he made the first two about one thing, and then the third one about
Exactly.
Right.
Everyone's like, if
That's
you want
why
to do
it
an
didn't
anthology,
He didn't know what the word actually meant.
it's like, why? Well, because the first Halloween was so popular that he demanded a sequel right away.
Of course.
But then he's like, well, I didn't want to do that, so I'm going to hop on this one, which is called Season of the Witch, which was about this company making these masks, which actually tie to Samhain, which is some dark ritual on Halloween. And when the kids put on the masks and this commercial pops up, which is like the Silver Shamrock commercial, which is what Kim and I were singing, there's this subliminal message that's flashed.
Oh, good.
And when the kids are wearing the masks, it like twists their minds, and they
On Halloween.
It has to be on Halloween. Yeah, any other time it doesn't matter.
On
Yeah.
Halloween and the commercial place.
So
And-
it's like shitty ritual magic mixed with an R.L. Stein book.
Almost, except darker,
Yeah.
because when the masks like starts like
R.L. Stein was pretty baller.
it like starts rotting and like bugs and snakes and shit are crawling out of their faces.
Oh, good.
It's demented as
Great.
fuck.
Yeah.
Fun time.
And
This is exactly what you want to see your kids looking
Yeah.
like on
Yeah.
Halloween.
Oh, neat.
Billy, what'd you get? There's a caterpillar coming out of your eye socket, honey.
And the only way it relates back to the first Halloween is that during the horror movie marathon that they make the kids watch during this time for this commercial, they're showing the movie Halloween.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, it's meta. And that's the one part I didn't like, but everything else, it's kind of ahead of its time. It's like it's dark and it's twisted and it kind of works. If it wasn't called Halloween, you'd be like, this is actually pretty good, but it shouldn't have anything to do with the Halloween mythos, you know?
Right.
So what we were planning on doing tonight is, last time we did a Halloween podcast, we just discussed Buffy for an hour and a half, but we didn't want to do that this night. What we wanted to do tonight was bring up what is, in our minds, the most horrific or traumatizing moment from TV or film or from any media from our childhood. And because I think we all have a particular memory from our childhoods about what scared the absolute bejesus out of us. And in order to share that, let's go around the room and introduce everybody. To my right, we have...
The goddess of gore.
Hey!
Kill me now.
And how are you?
Better.
Me too.
How are you doing?
Oh. Okay.
Not gorific?
No.
No. Aw.
You don't want to be gorific after eating the Mexican food we just ate. Like,
No.
there's so much food.
Yeah, many, many thanks to the king of Capicola Castle next to her.
Ah, yes.
Capicola has nothing to do with tacos.
I know.
And not okay.
It does in my cold cut court. Thank you very much.
I hope the Aztecs take you over and murder you.
I hope this
Wow.
acid starts wearing off someday.
And next to the goddess we have...
I'm in the nook. It's the dystopian. I'm taking it.
You have it for at least 2.5, 3 months.
I'm going to milk it for all it's worth. It's mine.
Until the
own.
fangirl returns. Unfortunately, the fangirl couldn't join us tonight. Hold on, I gotta sneeze.
That's a silly name for a person. What's the matter? Can't you sneeze now?
No, I can't. I hate that. I hate that. It's like sitting right there.
Yum.
But unfortunately, she had to go back to Hong Kong for a couple of months. But she'll be back with us. I think by the end of December, early January. I think she'll be back.
January.
But until then, the dystopian has taken over her nook.
Yes.
And how are you, sir?
I'm very well. I miss her dearly, but
It's
I'm
only
here
been
now.
one day.
I do. I wanted to text her today. I'm like, oh.
Well, I actually just spoke to her about an hour ago. She is in Hong Kong. She landed safely, so everything's good.
Yay, good.
She's sadly couldn't join us tonight. She might be
Right.
texting in at some point, letting us know that Confucius 2.0 just texted in as well. He is extremely tired and won't be joining us as well. But I don't know what his work schedule's like.
Insane as you
Oh yeah,
probably.
insane. It's all right.
And who do we have next to me? I forget this guy.
Oh, the guy who last joined us when we had our buddy Nick Hodges on. But it is...
The superhuman aficionado.
And how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
I never know when anybody leaves the country, though. Like, you guys were like, oh, yeah, Karen's going to be gone for 4 months. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
That's why you're back. You're avoiding her wrath.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong. I'm pretty sure.
Hum.
At the Halloween party. I don't remember
Oh,
most
that
of
one
the
day.
photos I took.
Right, yeah, the one time.
Hey, I mean, give me credit.
By the way, I have to say, I loved everyone's costumes this year for Halloween.
Yeah.
They were all really good.
Yes, and the dystopian was Johnny and Plank.
Yeah.
That
which
was
was
great.
amazing.
From Ed, and Eddie. That was really
God,
good.
It was so good.
I'm
Best
still,
friend Plank.
I'm still impressed that all of the Asians were in red, black, and white, including Appa.
Coordination, man.
Like, it was so fun. I said to it was the 4 Chinese individuals. I don't know like what names we're allowed and not allowed to say. So
Wait, you can say Chinese. You can
no,
say
no,
Asian.
like people.
Real name.
Oh! I'm
People.
sorry. I was gonna say, what's wrong with saying Chinese?
I know nothing wrong with being
Michael.
Chinese. They have a delicious
We
food.
do not use that word.
God.
We do not use that word.
But I remember being in the kitchen and I was like, why are the 4 Chinese people all in the red, black, and white? And then Appa comes marching in and Jackie's like, end your dog. And I'm like, fuck, he's Japanese. Like, you guys still called his ass.
And then Kim.
Yeah.
And then
Kim was in
Kim.
red.
It's groupthink. It just happens, man.
It was the hive mind.
Yes. Yes.
But the goddess and I were I was Walter Sobchak and she was Donnie in can form.
That was Donnie's ashes.
Donnie's ashes, which was
Inside
amazing.
the coffee can.
I'm so glad you came up with that costume idea. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
You know.
His final form.
Yes, it was his final form.
This isn't even my final form.
No, that was
Yes,
his
it
final
is.
form.
Oh.
If we find any good pictures of that, guys, we'll share that with you on our Facebook channel if you want. But
Any good pictures of what?
of the Halloween party, of us in costume, why not?
Are you implying that the photos I took weren't good photos?
No, I'm implying they were good. I'm just saying I don't
If
want.
you find any, they're on Facebook.
Moving on.
They're right there.
Maybe he meant one of us all together. I
Yeah,
don't
like
think there was
I'm not
one.
gonna post every single photo. I'm gonna post the ones that you have that are the best of each particular person.
Because they're not all great.
Moving on.
Just sit on your mic.
So
No.
let's get into this. So let's just start off. Is there from cinema? Is there a particular movie? Because we can just go through TV, comic books, whatever you want to touch on. What, as far as movies, scared the absolute shit out of you when you were a kid? Anyone can just jump in whenever you want.
All right. The biggest one that has scared me wasn't when I was a kid, and don't fucking make fun of me, but it was The Strangers. And it wasn't the movie itself. It was, like, situational. I went and saw it in theaters. I was like, that was a really great movie.
And that was Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler
and
Scott Speedman.
Yeah.
And Dennis.
And Dennis.
Yeah,
Right. Dennis
from
was in
Always
it, too.
Sunny.
Yeah.
The Menace? Oh.
Yeah,
Dennis got shot in his
I
fucking
forget his
face.
name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I remember my parents were in Mexico, and it was like around. Well, they were out of town, and I went to see it with some friends, and I got back to my house, and there was nobody there, and I was like, "Oh, mistakes have been made." And every time I've seen that movie, I'm just like looking behind my shoulder, and I'm like, I'm not going near any windows. Fuck this. Because of that one situation, I slept with a knife under my pillow, and I made my friend sleep over, and he thought he took my knife. And I woke up and I stretched and I had he's like, where did you get another knife? And I'm like, another knife? What, did you think that you like took the only one?
Wow.
In my adulthood, that's the movie that has creeped me out the most.
And, when I first saw that, I wasn't a huge fan of The Strangers. It's better than most horror films of the last decade. I'll give it that.
Well, what I liked was that it was so realistic. Like, what scared me was that it was so realistic. It's shit that could happen.
Right, and it's not the boogeyman. It's just psychotic people,
right?
Just showing up, which is pretty much in the realm of possibility.
Right. Give me a monster or ghosts. Or give me a super gory werewolf movie. I don't give a fuck. It was a good movie. Oh, good job. But give me some shit that can actually happen, and I'm like waking up in the middle of the night like I probably shouldn't open my eyes.
Fair enough. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yes. When I watched the original first Halloween when I was younger, and I say that scared me especially when he just like sat up after he thought he was dead
at the very end of the film, after you think Jamie Lee Curtis has finally gotten rid of him. And just the slow sit up and just turning to her, then the dun dun. Like,
that was,
oh, you're fucked.
That scared me. And then it didn't help that my mom then had the mask and she'd put it on and
no
go out to the window and stuff and scare you. So that and
then I woke up in the hospital.
Really.
Next thing I remember, I was at a therapist's office and they said I was making progress.
I didn't believe them.
One that didn't scare me while I watched it, but then I had nightmares continually about it.
Oh no!
Was Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Oh,
so,
the original.
Yeah, the original one. Like, while you're watching, like, oh yeah, that's scary. And then at the end, it was just like, oh, this is really weird. And then, but like, I would have like for like a while afterwards, I kept having like these nightmares. One of them was like this guy with a chainsaw just came and like broke into our like trailer that we used to have down the beach and like just cut my mom's head off.
Oh,
like,
oh
God.
Oh,
so
yikes.
yeah, that scared me.
It scared me just now. God.
I've never even met your mom, but I'm sure she's a nice lady and didn't deserve that.
Yeah. I don't know though. She was in the window with the Michael Myers mask.
That's true. Maybe she did deserve it.
Wow.
That's one of the biggest.
How do you like me now? It was actually Kim the whole time.
That's one of the scenes in The Strangers that really gets me. Is I'm scared to sleep on like ground level because I don't want to wake up and see somebody at the fucking window. And the scene where he throws the curtain open and he just hits the window. I'm like, fuck it. I don't know what I just ate, but I'm wearing it.
Nice, real nice. Dystopian?
Yeah. So I have two. The one that I thought of first, I'll say second because it makes no sense for me to do it that way. But it's not.
Whatever.
I thought of two. One is not scary at all, and then one is an actual horror film.
Okay.
And that's it. Pennywise. I was already afraid of clowns as a kid, like normal, happy-looking clowns, and then I see that fuck. Oh God! I was terrified. I've never even watched it the whole way through because I'm like, nope, can't do it. Nope.
It you know what?
You should read the book.
The opening.
Oh, good.
the opening scenes of it are quite good. It's horrific, but as it gets further in,
It gets really goddamn dumb.
It does. It actually doesn't hold up.
The very end of that movie, I was like, this was the stupidest thing I've ever watched.
Right. And I was like, what the fuck just happened to this, you know? Right. It's weird. Now, don't get me wrong. Tim Curry as Pennywise is fucking terrifying.
Especially since that's his real hair.
And teeth.
And that's a great performance by him.
So he's a makeupless clown and all that.
Nice.
He just put on some red and they were like, you're good to go.
That's why he wears makeup in all the other movies.
Yeah. He even came in his own
Makes
wardrobe. He was like, this is just what I wear.
Nice.
My pajamas. All right, so the first one that actually came to mind is not scary at all, but I had a fever as a kid, like a cold or something.
Okay.
And so I'm watching this claymation version of like assorted stories of Mark Twain.
Oh
Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's on Netflix now.
Is it the Satan one?
I don't know, but it's terrifying. And I imagine me with 104 fever looking at it, having the clay swirl and these demonic-looking things.
Yeah, it's Mark Twain, and they go to visit, like Satan in hell.
Yeah, that happens at one point.
Oh my God!
I thought I was in Satan with hell.
No, I get it.
It was
I saw it as an
terrifying.
adult, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
I started watching it on Netflix because I saw. I'm like, oh no, I'm having PTSD stuff. I'm like flashing back. I'm like, no, I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm not sick.
Yeah,
I'm
like
okay.
Mark Twain has like, and I shit you not, he has like this weird magical elevator at one point,
Yeah.
and he like goes down to hell.
Yes.
To visit Satan.
Yes.
And Satan is the only one in hell.
Right.
And the kids hop out, and they're like, "Who are you?" And he just says, "An angel." And his face his face is always contorting and moving into different things.
Yes.
And then he can like just make life, and he like simulates what man is. And so he makes all these little clay figures. He shows why man is ultimately like doomed to fail because the clay figures just like all destroy each other.
Yeah.
It's like this is what man is, and the kids are just standing back like horrific as this now sentient life is like they're all killing each other.
Yeah.
And then they just like run back in the elevator, and Satan's just left there like playing with these clay figures.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm really glad I've
what
never seen
the
this.
fuck is?
Yeah.
Oh my God! It was horrifying.
It's fucking nightmare fuel.
Yes. Oh my
To this
God.
day, I'm a grown ass man, and it still causes me to like weep like a baby when I'm watching it in terror.
That's a good pick. That's a real good pick. I can't only imagine watching that as a kid.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
dude.
God.
Just thinking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, I've got a couple. The first one I remember was going to the theater to see Jurassic Park for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And the first time you see the T-Rex. It scared the fuck out of me. You see the chopped off goat like land on the car, bloody as hell.
Yep.
And then just slowly looking over at the kids like, you're fucking next.
Right.
And you're like, I'm pretty sure in the theaters I was doing the whole, crossed hands on my face. I couldn't watch.
Right.
I go back watching it. It's still one of my favorite scenes of all time. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But that scene as a kid, I'm like that far away from pissing my pants.
Yeah, Mom, we gotta go. Okay.
Halloween is another good one. I remember that was like the first rated R horror film I watched. It was great. It was scary as hell. But I remember the horror film that impacted me the most was Candyman.
Oh
Really?
yeah, I know you've talked about that.
I saw that as an adult, and I didn't understand what I was watching.
Well, it's like the idea of the urban legend that the more you believe in him, the more power he gets.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
I got this like kind of Bloody Mary feel because don't you have to like summon him?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. But Bloody Mary is an urban legend.
Right.
It's the idea of, be my victim. Like, the more victims he has, the more people believe in him, the more powerful he becomes.
Like Freddy.
Like Freddy, yes.
Oh, all right.
Right.
And I remember, of all people, my dad rented it one night, and he called my sister and I into the room, like, "Hey, you guys want to watch a scary movie?" And and I'm like 9, my sister's 7, and we're like, "Yeah, sure." Let's go to sit down to watch Candyman.
This sounds like a good idea.
And
We trust you, Dad.
Yeah. First mistake. Unforgivable.
and it was the first scene when you see Candyman for the first time, just that guttural voice that he has. That amazing voice that actor has. I forget what the actor's name, but he was also in Final Destination 2 and a few other things. Great actor. And that voice he has, it's like David Keith. Or is it David Keith or Keith David?
I don't remember. I know exactly who you're talking about, but I don't
It's just
remember.
that voice, and it sounds so cool, and it just fills the room whenever he talks.
With evil and hate.
Yeah, and just like shots in that movie, like the hole in the wall with like the mouth around it with the massive eyes, scared the shit out of me. And I remember my sister like still watching the movie, just like breaking down crying, but she wouldn't stop watching.
Right.
She was like afraid to turn away. Like, if I turn away, I'm gonna die.
Right.
I remember after that, like, my mom found out and just yelled at my dad nonstop. Like, what are you thinking? It's like, it's Halloween. They should watch a horror film. Not Candyman.
That's fine. What's the worst that could happen?
My sister's
grow out of
my
it.
sister's sitting in the corner of
Yeah.
the room, just shaking back
Right.
and forth. Like I kid you not, like I couldn't look in a mirror for like a day or two. I'm like I know you have to say Candyman so many times.
Careful.
In the mirror. Yeah, but I didn't even want to like risk it. Like I know he's in the fucking mirror. I
Right.
can't look.
Right.
See, I think I saw that as an adult, and I was just like, I don't fucking understand what's going on. I don't care. As a child, I watched Poltergeist, like, on repeat. I fucking loved that movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
And I was never scared. But the movies that scared me as a child, like, weren't horror movies. I don't think. Arachnophobia might have supposed to have been a horror movie. I don't know.
It was more of a comedic horror.
Yeah,
Was it?
for sure.
Because
wasn't.
when I was fucking little, that shit was not funny. That shit was terrifying, and spiders were gonna find
John
me and kill
Goodman.
me.
No,
Yes.
that movie and Eight-Legged Freaks are terrifying for someone like Confucius 2.0.
Yes.
But
Yes.
the other movie that really got me, and it's because of the realism, was Twister. I was like, every fucking time the wind blew against my window, I was like, we're done. We're done.
Game
We're-
over, man.
We're dying. We're done right now. Like,
God, I'm sorry. I hit the mic.
That's okay.
my mom and her husband at the time had a waterbed, and the edge of the waterbed came out like a foot away from like the base of it. So like the base comes up and then the bed goes out.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I would sleep under the base if the wind was blowing too
Wow.
hard. And every now and again, like my stepdad would just like pick me up and take me into my bedroom. And if I woke up and the fucking wind was blowing, oh no. I'm back under that bed. I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Nice.
Jeez.
I was gonna say when you were talking about the clay one.
Yeah.
Not that it's clay, but it reminded me of the very last demon thing in the Fantasia movie.
Oh,
yeah.
That
yeah.
I would watch the whole movie, and then once that started, I'm like, nope, I'm turning it off. This movie's done.
The end.
Yep.
That's
That
a great
would
sequence, though. That's
scare
a beautiful
me
sequence.
so much.
I
when I was
I
little.
don't really remember it.
I
but
think it's
I
again.
know
I
I've
think it's
seen it.
Satan
Yeah.
and Satan just summoning his demons and imps, and like
Yeah.
dancing around the fires of hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that a
Yeah.
villain in Kingdom Hearts?
I
Satan?
never played.
The last character in Fantasia, isn't
He
that?
might be.
I
That'd be
think-
great if you actually have to go and fight Satan.
I think he's a villain in one of the Kingdom Hearts movies.
Wow. That,
But then that
That's a
makes me
rough
think of when I was little. I used to be scared. I used to have nightmares after watching the first Ninja Turtle movie, and I never understood why. And it was I found out when I was 13. I went to the Franklin Institute, and there was an IMAX theater, and they were doing a show about wildfires, and I had a breakdown. I just snapped, and it turned out the scene where they're fighting in the burning building
Yeah.
used to irk me, and I didn't realize that that's what it was. But I loved watching that movie, and every time I watched that movie, I had nightmares after. And I could never remember the nightmares. I would just wake up screaming. And my mom was like, I don't fucking know what it is about this. When I was 13, I was like, oh shit, apparently I'm pyrophobic. Like, that's okay. And then I watched
Good
the
to
movie
know.
after that, and I was like, this makes so much sense now. It's this fucking scene. Because that's a really dark scene.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I remember when I got done school when I was little, we'd walk. My grandmother lived like right up the street, so we'd walk to my grandmother's house and wait for my mom to come pick us up. And we'd watch Nickelodeon, whatever, all these shows, and then Are You Afraid of the Dark
Yes.
would come on. I'm
Yes.
like, no, where's mom? I want to leave. Like, I got so scared
Because
of
you
that
couldn't change the
stupid
channel.
show.
God, I love
There's
that show
nothing we
so
can
much.
do.
That was another one, had a fucking fire monster on it, and that shit gave me nightmares. Oh my god.
that was
Spelling
good.
out my childhood.
Scary but good.
I remember there was one about like a haunted carnival ride or something, and it was like at the end you had to go through. You had to pick like one of 8 doors to go through, and if you picked one, you would die. Like, and it was like there's this demonic clown-looking thing that would come through the door and kill you. But the kid at the very end figured out like the clown just wanted like a pack
friend?
of
Oh.
no, he didn't want a friend. He wanted like a pack.
And
He wanted like cigars. He wanted like because apparently it was like an actual like dead clown stuffed inside this animatronic, kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's almost.
oh no.
And it was like the dead clown just wanted like one last cigar or something. So the kid buys a box of cigars for the clown, and he lets him out. Like the demonic clown like just opens up this back door and's like, okay, you're good to
So
go.
he like kept running through the house or whatever, the ride,
Yeah.
until he could buy a cigar in the ride.
Yeah, lucky for him, there was a vendor that was somewhere in the haunted
I
house.
was gonna say, like, there must have been a machine because otherwise, did they not card? Did they not card in the 90s? I don't remember.
The 90s were
No,
great.
no, they had vending machines in the 90s. You kidding me? I remember
He
over
just stole it.
at Pat's
Yeah.
Out of the
Pizzeria
monkey.
nearby my house, they had a vending machine for cigarettes. And it's like anyone would just go up there and just buy a pack
Yeah.
of cigarettes.
The good old days. The first episode that I ever saw of Are You Afraid of the Dark was about this teenager who was turning into a werewolf. And then he, like, stalked his girlfriend after that. Like, it ended with the fact that he couldn't change back to human form, and he would just stalk his girlfriend. And I'm like, that's fucking messed up, dude.
Yeah.
But there was one that was, like, the babysitter's a vampire or something, and it aired a few different times, and I always missed it. And I always wanted to see it.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. I've been holding that in forever.
Because, like, one of my favorite urban legend was always the call was coming from inside the house.
yeah.
That was always my favorite urban legend. And then they fucking ruined it with that shitty ass movie. But you knew they would.
Well, no. The first When a Stranger Calls is still a phenomenal movie. It still holds up. The fucking remake is a piece of shit.
Oh, was the one that was made a few years ago remake?
Yeah. No,
Oh, okay.
It's garbage. It is absolute garbage. Because one, they spoiled the scare in the trailers. The whole thing of the calls coming from inside the house. In the trailers for the new movie, like they showed that. Like that's the big twist of the movie, and you show it in your fucking trailer. Now, back in the late 70s, early 80s, when A Stranger Calls came out, it was unique to have two lines in the home. Mm-hmm. That almost never happened. Nowadays, a call can come in from inside the house. That's no big deal. That's like, okay, you know, whatever.
I could call Will from the bathroom to tell him how great the soap smells.
Right. Because, oh my God, cell phones. It's a thing. It happens. And it's like, oh, and back in the 70s, that would be a twist. Like, oh my God, we didn't expect that. Right. Now it's like, okay, well, fuck it. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't really carry, it's not timeless. It's
right.
Very
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not going to rant about that.
Please,
We're going to talk about good movies tonight. We're not going to talk about shitty ones. I mean, there are movies that have scared me at how bad they are, but we're not doing that.
That's a different kind of scare.
That's a different kind of podcast, yeah. I will say, it didn't really scare me just so much as freak me out was the tunnel scene from Willy Wonka.
Oh,
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
that was messed up.
Just because the rest of the movie is so nice and light and funny.
No,
And,
not really.
but no,
Well-
it's still...
Oh, no. Stop. Don't.
As he holds him underneath.
Yeah.
He might as well just been holding his head under the fucking chocolate water.
Exactly. Or kicked him over
Yeah.
or something. Oops.
Go for a swim.
But it was at that point I was like, okay, what the hell's going on? Like, shots of chickens being decapitated. That's in the original cut.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
That's how you make chocolate, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like lizards chomping down on bugs. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Yeah, that freaked me out.
Again, what do you think goes into an everlasting gobstopper? Lizard jumping down on bugs. Like, that's common knowledge.
So
Boot
delicious.
or whatever that he throws in these
Yeah,
little keg.
yeah.
Yummy.
More than movies and TV and stuff, I get off on like scary stories. Mm-hmm. And like I said, like the more realistic, the better. Like I love a good story. So I mean, you give me a good monster story, I enjoy it, but it's not going to keep me up at night.
Right.
But recently, I've started reading the No Sleep forum on Reddit.
You had brought that up. That's great.
And holy shit, there's stories of like families being stalked for years and just like friends of like the main character being slaughtered one at a time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I've had recurring nightmares where like I'm hanging out with a friend, and while we're hanging out, like their parents are killed, and the people that I keep hanging out with, like the people around them are dying, and I'm like, I just can't hang out with people. Yeah. And like I've read a story recently that was kind of like that. Like this stalker wanted this little kid, and as he grew up, he just followed him around and killed everyone around him. And I'm like, ugh. And I woke up that night, and I was like, I just like grabbed Steve's arm, and he jumped, and he's like, "What?" And I'm just like, "Nothing. The dogs are okay." He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I judge my safety by the dogs."
Yeah, I love reading No Sleep. There's a couple of, and I'll just go ahead and say it now. I've contacted a couple writers on there to get the rights to make films for ourselves.
Oh, I told a buddy at work to contact the writer of one of the stories I just read.
Do you want to say what it is on air?
What
I
was
hope it's not the same one I got.
And
Like,
we're cutting
oh, fuck.
It was
and I'm
called.
cutting you out.
It was called "The Person Who Slept Next to Me Last Night Wasn't My Husband."
I've read that one, but no, I haven't. That's not one of mine.
You hesitated at that.
Was
like,
the
oh,
one
shit.
the one that really got me? It was like 6 parts, and it was like footsteps, balloons, friendship, something else, and it was just like all of these things that happened in this guy's life that he didn't realize were related. But like the first part was footsteps, but the one that really got me was balloons, and it was when he was a kid. It was like in the early 80s, I guess, and his class had them like attach like a letter and a photo of themselves to a balloon, and then they would like the person would reply, and the person was replying with like photographs of the kid. And then like it turned out he was like living under the house, and then like
Oh God, that's like that movie Housebound,
Oh yeah, we just saw that recently.
where that just really got to me when it was like the person was like living in like the walls.
It was an
and, like,
Australian horror film. It was
that-
actually really well done.
I can't.
there's
No, it was
handle
New Zealand.
that.
well, no, this one was really nice. There was
I can't.
they had a cat that would constantly go under the house, and they were moving. The mom went under there to get that cat, and they moved the next week. She was like, "Fuck it, we're out," and the cat ran away. And so they went back to the old house, and they went under the house to think, well, maybe the cat is here. And there was like a blanket and all this cat food, but it wasn't the brand his mom bought. And as an adult, he like went to ask because this was real, air quotes. And he went to his mom, and he was like, "Why did we leave so quick?" And she's like, "I didn't put a blanket or cat food under our house."
Right.
She saw that shit, and she was like, "We out."
Bye.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Housebound was New Zealand, not Australian. But yeah, that's a good example of something just recently that we saw that was like, wow,
Is
that
that
was
a
like,
recent
It's like
movie?
the movie.
it came out in
I think
2013.
so.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
movie itself it wasn't scary. It was kind of like humorous.
Yeah.
The one of those. But just the thought of someone
Just walking
living
around in between the cracks of your
in
house.
There was
Yeah.
your
episodes of
house
Supernatural about
and you have
about that.
no idea.
Or
Yeah.
The Pact.
I
The Pact
can't.
was like that too. You remember that?
Oh God.
Oh.
Yeah.
The
That was hurled. What was that?
No, The Pact was
was me
really good.
Throwing up
Yeah.
at that scene. Oh God.
There's a
Throwing
scene towards the
up
end.
violent
Yeah.
Go
fear.
into a ball.
That was a good movie. But no, yeah, I'm glad you bring up No Sleep. There's a couple on there that are really good. And the thing about No Sleep, like you're mentioning, the idea of No Sleep is that these are all stories that have happened to these people in real life.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, we don't know that, but there's one like Mr. Smiley, which was about the guy who's like dancing.
Oh,
up
I
and down
just
the
read that
street.
today.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Super unsettling.
Yeah, this guy's like drunk and walking home, and across
No,
the street he
well-
sees this guy just like dancing and walking
Did
around.
they make
all-
somebody do it?
Yeah, made a
Like,
short
some
film about it.
thing?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
we can pull
That's
that
what
up
I
later.
saw.
Yeah.
And this guy is the biggest, most demonic smile you'd ever see.
And his eyes are kind of glazed, and he's
Yeah.
just looking to the sky.
Yeah, and eventually, like the guy just keeps walking away, and then he turns around, and he sees him on his side of the street now,
Oh, good.
and he just approaches him slowly and just stands like right next to him.
No.
And-
No. He approaches him quick.
Oh yeah,
He's like crouching, and he can't tell like which way he's facing. And then all of a sudden, he's taking these like sneaking long strides, but super fast, and stops like a car lengths away from him.
yeah, and he's like, "What do you want?" And the guy just kind of like turns around and starts dancing away slowly. And the guy's like, "Okay." When he turns to walk away, he turns around, and now the guy's just sprinting at him with this big demonic smile on his face. And so the kid books around the corner, and he still hears like the footsteps behind him, so he like runs for like 11 blocks. Finally turns around, and doesn't see the guy. Like, what the fuck was that? And something like that is eerily real, because there's nothing supernatural about it, but it's just like this guy with the most demonic smile on his face ever.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you read the one that was the 911 operator call? So it was another short one, so I'll tell it. Guy calls in, and he's like, "There's a guy in my front yard," and
Yes,
he's just like
yes, that's a
dancing
good
and
one.
being weird. And she's like, "Well, what's he doing?" And he's like, "Nothing. He's just dancing in my front yard." And she's like, "Well, okay. Like, do you want me to send a squad car?" And he's like, "Yes. This is weird." And he's got this really weird smile on his face. Like
Yeah.
he's got to be on drugs. And then he like walks away from the window, and she's like, "All right, well, something." And he goes back, and he's like spinning around on his head or something, like something just being weird. And he's like, this, it's making me really uncomfortable. Like, where's the cop car? And he just looked at me. And she's like, what? And he's like, he looked at me. So she's like, well, is there a room you can go to? And he's like, yeah. And he like backs into his kitchen and he looks back at the window and he's at the window, smile, like this big fucking horrifying smile on his face. And he's like, she's like, can you get into a room and like lock it? Can you be safe? And he's like, yeah, I can. And he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, what's wrong? And he goes, he's just shaking his head at me. I think he can hear us. And she's like, is there any other doors in the house? And then just the phone drops. And then there's a second part to it, which is the police going out, and they say that another door that was, or a window upstairs was smashed or something, and that like they describe the scene, and she's like, it's the most horrific like thing I've ever heard of, and I'm like, ah.
And there's another one that ends with a 911 call, and it was called like the disappearance of like Ophelia, Kansas.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet.
That one is good.
Okay.
If you don't want me to spoil it for you.
Yeah, don't spoil that one for me, because that's another one on my list.
That one, I mean, it's unrealistic, just because, like, if this actually happened, this would have been documented everywhere. But it's like, what the fuck's going on here? But yeah, that's a good one.
Did you read Hallways?
No.
Hallways is the same premise as that painting one that you told me a while back. It's a painting of hallways.
The road virus heads north. Yeah. That's a Stephen King short story. And that's a really good one. Yeah.
It is. It's the same premise as that, but there's this like creature in the painting that like walks the hallways. And basically, I think like the final line is like, all doors lead to the hallway. So if it wants you, it can just get you. And I'm like, what the fuck?
So just live in an open field and
Yeah.
never
No
go
doors.
into a door.
No doors.
No doors.
But that's the stuff that gets me. Like the stuff where like at night, Steve's trying to talk to me, and I'm like, no, I need to focus on this. And then I finish it, and I'm just like, oh my god.
No, we'll move on from this. I know there's others we want to talk about, but there's one, I cannot remember the name, but it wasn't even meant to be creepy. It was just so sad at what it turned into. And it was this girl, like 11 or 12, is in a car accident, okay? And she has to spend years in the hospital recuperating in order to walk again, in order to talk again. And she ends up meeting another boy, a young boy, who is terminally ill. And they start a very good friendship and ends up becoming a romantic relationship. Well, it's found out soon that he's probably going to pass away soon.
Isn't that The Fault in Our Stars?
No, it's not. But as she's recuperating, she says, I want to stay in the hospital. I don't want to leave because I want to stay here with you. Well, they both agree, well, if I'm going to die soon, I want to, just go off with you. It then cuts to like her side of the story where they go out and just found like a house in the middle of nowhere and just stayed there. And she's talking about how, the last few days have been the greatest of her life, even though the maggots are now eating out his eyes. You realize that he died in the hospital months ago, and she's been like hiding him. And then took him out to this cabin and has been like pampering this dead body for months. And it's like, holy fuck!
It's normal.
I was like, it comes out of nowhere. It just like punched me in the chest. It's like, this is such a nice heartfelt story, and then all of a sudden like, what the fuck? It was so heart wrenching. I was like, that one didn't scare me. I was just like, what the actual fuck?
There was a good one I read yesterday called "I Knew He Was Cheating on Me," and it wasn't scary. It was just like, it was a little creepy, but it wasn't like a horror thing. But it was like the narrator's like, my boyfriend's cheating on me. I saw him at like this cafe with this woman. Like, let me give you the background. So like we met here, and then we moved in together, and we've got this nice place. Blah blah blah. And then, now, so I go home and she's in my bed, and so I strangled her, and she'll never do this again. And it's like, journal entry. Well, then it's the journal entry of her boyfriend. And it's like, so my girlfriend was strangled today, and it turns out there was a 40-something-year-old man living in my attic who was in love with me and obsessed with me. And as they dragged him out of my house, he was pleading with me to, like, tell the cops how much we were in love. Ooh. And, like, I've never seen this person before in my life. He's, like, 400 fucking pounds, and apparently he's been living in my attic.
400, like, a 400-pound man in the attic. He's a pretty good hider if he was able to hide.
Honey, Did you leave this in the toilet?
Just crashing up the.
But that was another good story. Was about a guy who had moved into an old house and things kept moving around. And one of the things he said was like, I would flush the toilet and I'd go back later and there'd be like urine or toilet paper in the toilet. And I'm like, I know I flushed. And he's like, and there was one closet I could never get into. And then one day he got home off schedule and the closet door was open, big enough for a person to stay in with a sleeping bag in it. And then he like called the cops and they were like, oh yeah, there's been like all these cases recently, like in like the tri-state-ish area of like people with a room that like they couldn't get into big enough and they were getting slaughtered. And he was like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Nice.
Got anything, Will?
Yeah, but say we've been talking about no sleep for a while. Let's get off of that.
Sorry that we ruined so many no sleep stories.
I know. Sorry for those of you who read no sleeps and we just spoiled a bunch of them. We apologize. You guys, any others?
I'm trying to think of any. I mean, those are the real two that stood out to me.
Did you ever have any like scary experiences in your life, like supernatural or otherwise, that just like scarred you for a while?
I don't know. I've repressed most of them. I don't know if I can just dig them up.
I remember when my brother was a baby, getting out of bed one night to use the bathroom, and I'm a really heavy sleeper. I always have been, but for some reason his crying woke me up, and I got out of my bed to like go to the bathroom or whatever. I go in the hallway, and the way the door opened, I could see my brother in the rocking chair being rocked by my mother, air quotes. And as I'm like looking, I'm like waiting for like my eyes to adjust so she can look at me and I can wave to her because it's my fucking mom. And who looked at me wasn't my mother. It was this old woman with like scraggly gray hair. And she just put her finger up like to shush me. And I fucking booked into the bathroom. And my mom was in there peeing. And I just sat on the floor and faced the door. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm not leaving the bathroom.
Yeah,
I didn't tell her this until I was an adult. And she was like, so some old lady was rocking my kid? I was like, I think it was the spirit that lived in the attic. And she's like, what? There's another story? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Mom.
It was the thing that used to move boxes around in the attic. That's why you could never find anything.
I'm sorry, we had seances up there. I apologize.
It's that 400-pound man.
It's a 400-pound man. He swore we were dating.
Tiny.
I'm like, I'm 7 years old.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Real nice.
The guy from, what was that? The Italian Job. Tiny.
Oh, yeah.
The big, fat Mexican dude who played golf. Don't stare.
Got us? Any others?
The white van.
Oh, yeah. Of course. The local New York van, of course.
Weird.
One I thought of that is Blade Runner, actually.
Really?
When I was really young, the first time I saw that, Rutger Hauer scared the shit out of me.
Oh.
Because nothing could stop him. He just kept coming.
Right.
It was just terrifying. Like, oh, God, no. Just this unstoppable evil.
And that was kind of like the first time I saw Cape Fear was like that. You know, I forget the actor in the original, but the remake is actually quite good too with Jessica Lange and Robert De Niro. I forget the lead actor in that, and also Juliette Lewis.
Are you sure that was Jessica Lange?
I'm positive it's Jessica Lange. That character, it's like no matter what you do, he doesn't feel pain. He doesn't know remorse. He's a human, but he just doesn't fucking care. He's going to kill you, rape your entire family, and then probably kill them too. And he won't. And you can't stop him. It's like, what the fuck? It's just, it's so brutal, but so real at the same time. Just someone, just with that sole purpose, just focused on that one point. You know?
Right.
Actually, you brought up a good segue. The first season of American Horror Story.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not only was the writing on point, but there were certain episodes that left you shaking in the end. Like, I am scared to shit of those fucking gimp suits. And that thing, anytime that thing walked into the room, every hair on my body stood on end, and I was like, "Oh my god, everyone's gonna die."
Yeah, anytime a gimp suit is involved, it's usually not a good time.
Right.
Pulp Fiction.
Except for
Right.
it's fucking horrifying.
Yeah, I'm glad the Goddess made me watch that first season because I had seen this from the second season on, but I had never seen the first season. I know it has sadly gotten like progressively worse since the second season.
We haven't
really
seen
liking this season.
So.
Really? We haven't been watching Hotel.
Holy crap! Hotel. The first episode of Hotel gave me a nightmare.
Really?
Yeah, I had a bad dream. I mean, like I didn't wake up scared because, like, it was a horror dream.
Okay.
I didn't wake up like, oh my god, they're all here. But it's the writing on this season is much better. And I think, and people were like, oh, Lady Gaga's in it. She's going to make it a music video. And I'm like, dude, Lady Gaga, first off, is actually a really good artist. Like, not all of her music is on point, but she is an entertainer. Like,
Right.
100%. And people give her shit for, like, her outfits. And she's like, I've seen interviews with her. And she's like, every time I write a song, I'm like, what am I going to wear in this concert? Because she's like, I think of the entire performance. And I'm like, she's going to go into this show with one thing in mind, and it's going to be to make the creepiest fucking show she can do with a good story. And there's a lot of shit going on, but it's so fucking good. Like, every episode ends, and I'm just like, why do I have to wait a week?
We'll have to get caught up on that.
It's really, really good.
We never finished Freak Show, but I heard Freak Show was very
I
lackluster.
didn't finish Freak Show either.
Nah.
Steve finished it and told me how it ended, and I was like, I don't fucking care.
Nah. After they... small spoilers here, but after they got rid of the lead clown, which I think was the scariest part of Freak Show, I was like, why would you get rid of, honestly, like the best character in this show so far? That's the dumbest thing you could do. But nah, I lost interest at that point. I'm trying to think of any others before I move into our one trailer we have this week, because we would be remiss if we didn't talk about one big trailer from this past week, guys, which we'll get into shortly. But
Was there a big one? I don't know.
no. Yeah. The next trailer for Chipmunks 4, obviously.
Yes. My body is ready.
Your body is ready for suicide?
It's a shame.
At any cost, I will not watch that movie.
I'm trying to think
Saw
of
the first one. I didn't see anything.
I mean, as a kid, I was a lover of horror, and I remember watching The Shining for the first time, and never being scared, just so much as this is a director who's actually going to like change who I am. Like, I'm gonna come out of this movie and not be the same person.
Disturbed.
I haven't seen the movie. I know like parts of the twist, but I'm still reading the book. I just keep setting it down and forgetting about it. But every now and again, I pick it up. I read like 100 pages.
Did you just finish the book, Dystopian? Or are you still reading
I
it?
am 2/3 of the way through, and it's my first reading, and it's so good.
It's a really good book,
so good.
Well, I bought Dr. Sleep.
I have that too.
I got
yeah.
excited that like there was a new Stephen King book out, and it sounded really good. And then, like, I bought it, and then the day I bought it, like 2 hours later, I heard that it was a sequel
Right.
to The Shining, and I was like, oh, I should probably read The Shining.
Yeah.
And Steve was like, do you not know what happens? And I'm like, I think I do, but I also like don't like I've seen parodies of it, and I'm like, I don't know what The Shining is, so like I should probably read the book so I understand a little more when they're talking about it.
Right.
And so I think I'm about a third of the way through.
Nice.
And oh my god.
Yeah.
There's still I haven't even gotten to like any of the horror reports, and the way he describes things at certain points, I have to put the book down and breathe.
Yeah. It's like, oh no. It's like, this is not good. This is not good.
And I mean, a lot of people criticize the Kubrick film for really deviating from the book, and it does.
Yeah.
But because the movie is actually, of all things, darker than the book.
Oh really?
Yes, it actually gets decisively darker than the book. And don't get me wrong, the book is still scary as hell for different reasons. But what happens in the movie is just, it goes to points where it's like, this director is going to mind fuck me. Like, I don't think I'm safe. I do not think I'm safe. You know? Any others you guys want to touch on? If you remember some as we go throughout the podcast, you can bring them up if you want. But if not, we're going to get into our one trailer for the night, which we weren't going to talk about any trailers this week because, again, it's our Halloween podcast. But one big trailer did come out early last week, which is a trailer redux, which is Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
I was raised to do one thing. But I've got nothing to fight for.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Will's body is ready.
Yes. Yes.
Keep it down over there.
Sorry.
He's like, no, I will not. The heart on in my pants says I cannot.
That's right.
The force is
Need to
strong
move
with
this
one.
blanket a little bit. Sorry.
This is my lightsaber.
Cover up my Star Destroyer over here.
Waltz is as big as mine.
It's not the size that counts. It's how you use it.
Oh my god. This trailer, I got so many chills.
Yes.
I mean, I know, Paul, you have a few things to say about this, but I'm just going to say I got chills watching this trailer. There were so many shots that made me so happy. It was like, like the practical effects, like the actual X-Wing. They walk by the hand-built X-Wing they had on set, you know?
Right.
And then them being inside the Millennium Falcon and just the couple lines that Harrison has. It's like, it all worked perfectly for me. And I have to say two things about this trailer. First off, they still haven't revealed anything about the plot.
They have done such a good job of just giving you the feelings,
Yes.
the themes,
Yes.
without actually spoiling any kind of plot devices
Which
whatsoever.
I love. That's old school trailer making.
It makes me want to watch it that much more because you don't know and you want to know. And you're just like,
Exactly.
oh, I gotta watch it and know what's going on.
I don't know if Abrams is behind that, because usually it's the studio that makes the trailer, not the director.
Right.
But I love that they're doing that. They're not going out and saying, oh, here is a linear progression of the plot for you. No, we don't need that.
Right.
We just get us excited, and they're doing that.
Yeah.
And thank you. Second thing is Luke.
Right.
It's like we've heard Luke's voice in one trailer.
Yeah.
But
we see his hand.
And you see his we
Maybe.
assume it's his hand. It's
If it is his hand, it's the right hand.
right.
The correct hand, whatever. I forget if it's his right or left, but it is the correct hand.
It is his right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Right. The right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god,
right.
I'm leaving.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we see him next to R2, so we can only assume that it's Luke.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen a face shot of him. We've seen screenshots of him, from on set. There's been production pictures.
Well, what's funny though is the one where he's in the real traditional looking Jedi robes and all that has been wiped from the internet.
Really?
Has it?
The studio has taken all. Yeah, they took
Of
it
Old Man
all
Luke?
gone. Yeah, it's all gone. That's suspect.
Something's going on with Luke.
Yes. The plot thickens.
We say that, but let's just say one, Luke is not Kylo Ren. Luke
No.
will not be Kylo Ren.
It doesn't
Stop
make
saying
sense.
that.
Jar Jar's Kylo.
We've
Ren.
already seen him
Yeah,
without
Jar Jar's Kylo Ren. Which was,
it's Darth Binks. I told you.
Darth Vader.
I love. That is the greatest name ever.
Well, we've already seen Kylo Ren without his mask anyway, so
Yeah.
It's
What?
You in the scene where he goes to fight the black dude, his helmet's not on.
Yeah.
And you can see he has long black hair.
Oh, okay. I did not notice that.
Is
Okay.
the actor inside the costume? I don't know.
of Kylo
The-
Ren.
Yeah, the voice of it.
Well, I think so.
Okay.
I believe so.
First off, Kylo Ren is a man.
Okay.
Okay. But there
He had
is.
long black hair, so I didn't know.
It
Well,
is-
no, that's a good point because I
It
mean,
is, 'cause
James
there's-
Earl Jones voiced Darth Vader.
Exactly,
Wasn't the guy
that's what I
inside.
meant.
Right.
Right.
But there's also,
pretty sure.
and one of the cool things about
Okay.
this new movie is that there's, I can't think of the general's name, but there's like a silver, like, stormtrooper looking
Captain
outfit.
Phasma.
Is
Yeah,
that the name?
and that's Brienne.
And that's a woman.
Right.
Brienne.
Brienne,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, this, you can't tell it's a woman because it's not feminized. And it's
It
like,
doesn't have
That
to be
doesn't
it's a
assholes.
fucking
matter.
armor. It doesn't
Right.
need to be
Who gives a
feminized.
shit?
Yeah.
Assholes.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither was Eowyn.
Right. and here's the argument. I know by like episode 9 we're gonna get this argument because Carrie Fisher for the first couple Star Wars films said you couldn't tell I was a woman, because everything she wore was pretty much asexual.
Except for her boobs flopping around.
Yeah, I'm like, I
'cause
don't
she
know.
wasn't wearing a bra.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell it like it is. Boom. How you
They're
like them
like-
truth bombs?
She's just like, why is it so cold in here? It's not. No, I'm pretty sure it is.
My Rebel Alliance.
No, I'm pretty sure she didn't want. She was one of the burn your bra women. So I don't think she wanted to wear a bra. It wasn't like they
Apparently not.
told her
But
not
but
to.
she did make a complaint after Empire Strikes Back that was like, she wanted to feel like sexier on set. So they literally designed that slave outfit as like a joke to her, like, here, this is what you're wearing. And she's like, I'm not wearing that. And Lucas was like, no, you're fucking wearing that.
You don't get the bitch and then complain more.
Right, exactly. So
Cake or eat it. Pick one.
But in
Cake is a
this,
lie.
The cake is a lie.
I can already hear the complaints because we've already gotten some ironic complaints about it. Or not ironic, just idiotic complaints. But it's like the idea of, oh, well, the women in this aren't sexy. Where are the sexy women? Like, you don't have to have sexy women. While it would be great,
Justin
you don't
Timberlake
need
is
it.
bringing sexy back. Not
We just
Star
haven't seen the
Wars.
Twi'lek dancers yet. That's all.
Right.
The Twi'lek dancers are the only sexy women in Star Wars.
Got to get back to the cantina.
The Twi'lek dancers and Azaz Ventress, who for some reason just was all boob.
Oh,
Like, all right, girl.
So the official poster has been released for this movie now, which was
Yes.
released late last week.
And Luke still isn't in it.
And Luke still isn't in it, yeah.
nope.
But
Unless he's Kylo Ren. Oh my god. What a twist.
get out. But no, if you notice on that poster, and I think you see a shot of it in the trailer, there's a big planet in the background with like a big red eye in it, almost like looking something like the Death Star. And some people are like, oh my god, are they fucking building a third Death Star?
It's called the Star Killer.
Right.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's a massive weapon inside a planet.
Yep.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, it's big enough to destroy an entire star system instead of just a planet.
Right. It's so first thing I said is, well, it's basically just a stationary Death Star. Like the Death Star can move around and destroy planets. But I remember in the expanded universe, for the few things I'd read, they built what was called the Galaxy Gun, which was a stationary Death Star. It was basically just the weapon and could shoot anywhere in the galaxy. So because a lot of the Empire had been destroyed, they couldn't really defend as much. So they basically huddled all their defense around the Galaxy Gun. Basically said, we're going to hold the entire galaxy hostage because we can destroy anything from this one point. That's what this thing looks like, the Star Killer. It's like the planet can still just circle around its own little, solar system, but it can fire anywhere in the galaxy. So all the Empire has to do is defend this one point. They don't have to be anywhere else in the universe and still hold the entire galaxy hostage. It's kind of genius. And I'm looking at this thing like, it's fucking massive. Like, I mean, the Death Star was huge, but it was, it was like a small moon, as they called it.
Yeah.
This is an entire fucking planet.
That's no moon.
That's no planet.
Well, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Good God.
It's basically a Borg.
Right.
It
And
has assimilated.
And yet when you look at the trailer, you see a shot of the X-Wings and TIE Fighters fighting. You see this massive trench in the planet. And the first thing I thought is, oh my god, we're going to get another trench run. Which would be great.
Look at that giant vent. Like, what do you think's in this sewer system? I don't know. Once you launch a missile into it. what
Yeah,
happens?
shoot that vent 2 meters wide.
It's like the size of a womp rat.
Yeah, I was like, God, that's so fucking huge. And like, I'm just wondering, where the hell did the Empire get this? Like, I know it's been 30 years, but what the fuck?
Well, one of the theories is that after Episode 6, the Empire didn't fall. Like, they stopped the Emperor, they killed Vader, or Vader died, but the Empire didn't fall. Like, there were still plenty of other generals, plenty of stormtroopers, and that it didn't fall. And that just a new leader took over. And so...
Well, I mean, in the expanded universe, it was clones. There was clones of the Emperor.
Right, but they've ended that.
Right.
Like, it disconnected that. So that's
right.
just what I've heard about this universe now, is that the Empire didn't fall. And so that's why there are still so many stormtroopers. There's still all of these things, because they killed the leader, but a new leader took its place.
Yeah, because, I mean, think about the end of 6, right? Return of the Jedi. You don't actually see any kind of toppling of the Empire. You just see the Death Star being destroyed.
And people get awards, and then Anakin shows up, and he's all like...
I know, I don't want
to
to reference the special editions, but when you look at the special editions of Episode 6, they cut to all the different planets, and at Coruscant, you see them pulling down the statue of the Emperor. And there's actually a fan-made story of that, which is actually kind of cool, that right after that shot, it's kind of like something like Tiananmen Square, where you see all
It's like a
all
father
the
and
general
a son.
populace uniting against the Empire. They pull down the statue, and all of a sudden, stormtroopers come in and just slaughter everyone. Like, you're not rebelling today.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you see at the end of episode 6, and even especially in the extended, all the different planets like celebrating.
right.
But I don't remember that scene on Coruscant, but I mean, Will's right. Like, we never see like generals being taken away in shackles.
No.
Like, and anybody like really showing like, oh yeah, this is what the world looks like now, and they did that in the extended universe where it was like, oh look, we built a new republic out of the Fallen Ashes, and the new republic is basically just the new Jedi Order, which was also kind of a little bit weird.
Right.
Right.
Like, separation of church and state, bro. But
It's more like Sith and state.
Jedi.
I'm sorry.
I do like there's been a couple memes that have been from this most recent trailer. Like, you see a shot of Han going to the two kids, and he's like, it's true, all of it. And then the girl's like, even the Christmas special? Get out.
Yeah. There's been a couple of the get out. I want to be like, even that your wife made out with her brother? Get out.
Get out.
There's
Even Jar Jar? Get out.
there's the new comic that's actually produced by Marvel. Ties in with the cinematic universe.
Yes.
And there have been things that they have shown about Han's like,
Backstory,
past,
yes.
that I
But
won't say on
Yeah,
here,
we don't want to spoil that.
that lead me to believe like that certain characters in the movie might be related to him.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the most recent thing I saw was that there was a theory that Kylo Ren is the son of Han and Leia,
Right.
because their patches on their suits would be were Solo and Skywalker, and so it's like Skylo Ren, but they dropped the S, and I was like, that's really far fetched. I mean, their son in the extended universe did become a Sith,
right.
but I don't know about this one.
I don't necessarily agree with that. That'd be a little weird.
I really liked this trailer. Like, you're getting the impression that I didn't, and I really, really did. It just didn't have that same like Star Wars feel for me that like the first one did.
Well, you have to remember, and there's something to be said for this. J.J. Abrams currently has his hand on the pulse of all of geekdom. I mean, he has Star Trek, he has Star Wars. I mean,
keep him out of Marvel. I mean, I don't mind him. I just don't like a monopoly.
My thing is, I've never, and I said that since the first time I saw the first trailer, there's never been a J.J. Abrams film that I outright hated. There have been a couple that I didn't think were great, but all of J.J. Abrams' films have either been good or just okay for me.
Yeah,
and
Super 8 I didn't like, but I didn't hate it.
Right, and even if this Star Wars is just okay, which I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No.
Even if it's just okay, I'll be happy because it's going to be better than the fucking prequels. And we can get to that debate another time.
No, I don't think that the prequels were great. They were, I mean, in comparison to the original stories, I still admit they were not up to par. My debate was always just been midi-chlorians. I wasn't entirely against. That was all.
I mean, it's really just an anecdote of why child soldiers are a bad idea.
What?
Yeah, I got a little lost on that one too.
Yeah.
You mean the prequels?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't raise kids to be soldiers.
Right.
It ends badly.
Huh?
Did you not watch the prequels?
The baby Jedis. I call them babies. They're
I'm
like
thinking
5
of
and
Annie.
6.
I was like, all of them were fine. That one little like
redheaded
4-year-old, he
orphan?
held his own.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
I'll be a Jedi, but then the day after that, I'm turning into
gonna
a Sith. And then I die. I hate you, Ben Kenobi. You're only a day
great.
I do
away.
love the meme that's like, this was your father's lightsaber. He murdered 30 children with it.
Yes.
He wanted you to have it.
Yep.
This is your father's lightsaber. I cut off his arms and legs with it, left him in a... Or what happened to my father?
And
I
then
cut
he
off his
pictures
arms
him.
and legs.
I hate you. Make sure my son gets my lightsaber.
I left him in a volcano to die.
So I just read about that book Aftermath. Remember, I'd seen a poster for that Star Wars Aftermath.
Yes.
It's between
The fucking
episode.
zombie one?
No.
No.
Oh, no. The new... Okay, yeah.
It's between 6 and 7.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the first of a trilogy of books to explain what happens.
It's
Right.
the first canon book with
Yes.
the new universe.
Right.
And it deals with the setting up of a new government.
You
So
just read
Oh.
the whole book?
I'm pretty good.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Dystopia. He just plugs his phone into his head.
I have the Matrix jack. It's actually
see it,
it's
like, scroll
USB
across his
3,
eyes.
but you know.
I know universe.
I know kung fu.
Show me. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I love those movies.
First one was really good.
Yes, I agree. First
love
one
all
was
of them.
really good.
I love all of them.
That's all I'll say about that trilogy.
That's all I'm saying.
That's fine.
I don't know much more to say about this trailer. I thought it looked fantastic. I do know some people have said that when the Millennium Falcon jumps into hyperspace, it didn't look like the old
Star
hyperspace.
Wars,
True.
yeah.
But go back and look at a couple shots from Episode 4 when the first time you see the Millennium Falcon going through hyperspace. It actually looks pretty similar. It just looks like better
High def.
effects for the hyperspace. That's all.
I mean,
And who
I was just
cares,
saying in the one
right?
scene
Right.
in
Come
the
on.
movie
It looks
where they were
sweet.
like going through the asteroid field, I was like, this doesn't look the same. Those are clearly not potatoes.
Yeah. Right. It's just not the same. It's not gravel and potatoes anymore.
This is awful.
And I've heard a couple, and this is again a stupid complaint. I've heard people saying like, "Oh, well, every time we see, shots in this movie, no one's in space, no one's in the stars, so I call it Star Wars. It's like Land Wars." I'm like, shut up!
I prefer.
Shut up!
Just an idiot.
Yeah.
Said that.
Yeah.
Like, enough! For the love of God, you see them on like 4 or 5 different planets throughout this trailer.
There
So
will-
obviously
Then
they're
it's
going to be in
Planet
space.
Wars.
Planet War.
Yeah. Get it
There
right.
will be a space battle. There's always a
There's
space
always
Totes
a space
Planet
battle.
Wars.
It'll open in space after like the big dramatic thing. A spaceship will fly over the screen.
Yes.
If it doesn't, J.J. Abrams will be murdered.
Yes.
There are just things that have to happen.
Yes. Agreed.
I can't wait for this. I already bought my ticket. I want to see it 100 times. Unless I see it one time and it's bad.
Now, this has already set the record for pre-sales
Everybody got
for
that?
any movie.
Got
It's-
it.
And some numbers are predicting at least 500 million for the opening weekend
Yeah.
worldwide,
Yeah.
which, holy fuck.
Yeah. It's probably already sold that.
Oh my god. This is going to be huge.
It's going to be
This
good.
is going to be huge. And I love how, and I shit you not on this,
Better not.
20th Century Fox moved up the date for Chipmunks 4 to be the same date as Star Wars 7. To, like, try and spite Star Wars for leaving 20th Century Fox. Like, do you fucking think Chipmunks 4 is going to compete with Star Wars? What
Did you
is-
want an entire weekend where nobody was going to see that movie? Because that's what's going to happen.
It's like,
Right.
do you want your movie to tank? Because your movie's going to fucking tank.
Has there ever been
Let
a
them
movie
do
who
it.
had nobody go see it
Let
the
them
opening
fight.
weekend? Because that's what's going to happen.
Like Godzilla.
I think that's what happened with Gem this past weekend.
It's going to be like, so Chipmunks made nothing this weekend.
If we had movie news, we would have discussed Gem, because here's a movie that literally
fucking-
was made for nothing, but it made less than nothing back. It was such a and
Had
it's
to pay people to go.
yeah, they had to pay people to go
They
see
lost
that
so
movie.
much more money doing that.
I mean,
Exactly.
they knew that no one was going to see it, so they tried to like cut every corner to try and save money. They made it for like $4.5 5 million.
They could have just not made the movie.
Yeah, they only made about, I think, 1.1 million over the
I'm
weekend.
surprised.
That still blows my mind.
Right.
That you could take a dump like that and still make over $1 million.
Right. And here's the thing about it. It now has the worst opening ever. For releasing a movie with over 2,000 theaters, which is considered a nationwide release,
Right.
it is now officially the worst opening ever.
Good.
And the 4th worst of all time, I believe. Yeah. What the fuck? Like no one cared. And not only that did no one care, you made a shitty movie. Way to go.
You're the worst.
You're the worst.
They didn't even make hologram suits.
What's that?
They didn't even have hologram suits.
That's lame.
It's the whole point of like Gem and the Holograms.
Is that
was
they're holograms.
They had hologram like uniforms.
Right. Anyway, moving off from Star Wars and into our feature presentations. The first one we have is Our Brand in Crisis. I'm sorry, Our Brand is Crisis. Sorry, I always get that wrong. Our Brand is Crisis.
One more time.
Our Brandon Crisis.
I am Brandon Crisis.
Adina Menzel.
Nice. Oh God.
Adele Dazeem.
I was like, wait, didn't you say it
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I actually said it right.
I am Brandon Christ.
Branding.
Replace
The
our
movie is
faith in
our
black
brand
Parmesan
with you.
cheese. And an extra piece for you.
The movie is Our Brand is Crisis, which is the upcoming oh my god. Sandra Bullock. I forgot her name for a second. Sandra
Adele
Bullock film.
Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
As herself.
As herself.
But it also has
Sean
Billy Bob
Mackey.
Thornton.
yes, Billy Bob Thornton, yeah.
And Mackey.
Anthony
Let's help him
Mackie,
out.
yep.
Anthony Mackey. Who the fuck is Sean Mackey?
I have no
I
idea.
was like, I don't know who the hell that is.
Um,
I think I
just
tried to say
said
Sam
Mackey.
because that's his name in Marvel. He plays Sam. I was like, maybe somebody Mackey.
But no, I'm gonna say I'm looking forward to this. It's an interesting, political thriller that, of course, takes place. I think it's in Bolivia, I believe.
One of those places.
Well, it's South America. I'm almost positive it's Bolivia. I like political thrillers, but this one is just a little odd for me. Go ahead.
You're calling it a thriller?
Okay, a political drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, not
Those
a
are two
political
very
thriller.
I'll say if it was a thriller, I might want to see it, but I do not
Sorry,
want to see
a
this.
political drama.
I have an issue with Sandra Bullock usually where I can't see past the actress anymore. Like I will see her in a movie and I can't see the character she's playing. And for some reason, I don't know if I just don't care that I can't see past the actress or if I'm actually being able to see past the actress, but I really want to see this movie. Like it I mean, I'm not going to go see it in theaters. Like I'll Netflix that shit. But it looks really, really powerful.
I mentioned this last time we talked about it, which was a couple weeks ago. The movie isn't really keeping true to the historical events, not just like Hollywoodizing it. I mean, like they're changing entire plot points from from what happened in real life. Yeah, so I'm a little wary about taking the messages away from this film. But,
Oh wow.
That being said, I do think the movie in and of itself looks pretty good. So, anyone else thoughts on this?
I don't want to see it.
Okay.
Would you see it on a Tuesday?
No, I would not. I would not see it with a fox. I would not see it in a box.
I don't think those are parts of the grading system, but goodness gracious.
We're using the Seuss scale.
The
Yes.
Seuss scale.
No, I just feel like I hate everything about this movie.
Wow, really?
Boom. Truth bombs.
I know you're not a fan of political films. I know.
Well, I mean, like, if it's something inspiring, but this is just like, how can I make this piece of shit person win something that they shouldn't win? And
then
let's
they become
all
less
just be
of a
pieces
shit.
of shit.
You mean
No, he
politics.
becomes less of a
Exactly.
shit.
I hate politics. But I don't think so. Maybe that's what they're not being real about.
Oh.
But he could, but I think that's just
In the movie, he looks like he becomes like a nice guy. Well, nicer. Like a 2. He's
from
like
a
a negative
0
17.
to a 2.
Man, that puts him. I consider him a 3 in Sling Blade, so he's. It
I
looks
wasn't talking
okay.
about Thornton. I was talking about the guy she's helping win the
Yeah.
thing, the election.
Oh.
Thornton's a decent actor. He seems like a shitty person in this movie. He'll probably maintain being a shitty person.
Yeah.
In the movie.
It looks alright, but it doesn't make me want to watch it.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. I'm.
I'll probably get, like Kim was saying, I'd probably get really angry at the subject matter. Just be like, fucking.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Storm off.
Yes.
And also in future presentations, we have Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
I still think this is dumb.
Yeah, well, the zombie comedy has now been done to death.
Undeath.
We've
Because they had that one movie, and that one was good, and I don't care anymore.
Well, no, there was Shaun of the Dead. There was Zombieland.
Oh, yeah.
There's been now Z Nation. There's been a few others on TV that have done that as well, and it's kind of getting old now. I mean, it's been done well and it's been done right, but now it's just kind of like, and there's even been advertisements that are like, "This isn't Zombieland," don't expect Zombieland because we're better than that or something. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Bill Murray's not in this movie. You're not better than this.
Right.
And look, I think they have a decent cast. I think it actually looks kind of funny in parts, but I'm kind of done with the zombie comedy.
Zombieland had so much to it. There was Bill Murray, and there was Emma Stone, and there was that girl.
Abigail Breslin.
Yes, I was gonna say the chick from Little Miss Sunshine, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has the Scream Queens now.
Yeah.
And then they had the guy who's now in that Superman movie, Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah, they had him.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. Oh my God,
He
and
was
his
great in
Twinkie
that.
obsession. Fuck.
I remember a bunch of people were upset that Hostess went out of business for a while, like because now Zombieland is like non-canon, like it can't happen. It's like because Twinkies don't exist. It's like
Don't worry, there's vaults of them somewhere out in the world.
Well, no,
They don't go bad.
Hostess got bought out by someone. You know they're back, but you know,
Tasty Cake.
Yeah,
Tasty Cake. Yeah.
Entenmann's one of those. Yeah.
No, but I don't think many of us are looking forward to this one.
No, I've already seen what I want to see of this movie, and that's the
trailer?
fucking. No, not even the whole trailer. Just the 5 second of the cats going underneath the door.
Oh yeah.
That is so good because that is seriously what they do. That is what cats
You
do
have a
when you're
zombie
in.
cat?
Yes.
Oh God.
He's a regular cat. It's just as bad.
No, seriously, that's what they do. If you're in the bathroom, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing in there?" And then they put their paw under the door, and they're like, trying to be crafty and get the door open. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah.
Real nice.
I don't know what it is. Appa stays downstairs all day. And like the moment I go downstairs and I let the other dogs down there, he's like, "Oh hey Dad, let's check out the laundry room." And he just like barrels through the door. I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "Look, there's a whole room in here." And I'm like, "You left this alone all day." I'm like,
He was waiting to show you.
he was.
Real nice. If this was something on sci-fi, you know, like on late, I might catch it. You know, if it comes out on Netflix, maybe I take a look at it. But I'm not gonna see this in theaters.
I think in both of those examples, I will probably still ignore this movie.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, I have better uses.
I think I'm just gonna call Will and we're gonna drop
time?
acid and
Thank
do
you.
something more fun.
Fair
I
enough.
almost said that
Fair enough.
myself.
What's
Couldn't
that?
quite.
Just needed a push.
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to waste my time with this.
What, are you okay with my idea?
What's your idea?
We just like hang out and drop acid and do like anything else.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad idea, but let's do it.
Wow.
Sounds better than this movie.
That's true.
Okay.
You can pull Fear and Loathing. Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Oh, Devil Ether.
Paul, what are you doing tonight? I don't know yet, but I've got some acid and I'm ready to go.
Walls are breathing, though, so that's good.
Middle of a goddamn reptile zoo. Moving on from that, we have Trumbo. Now, we actually just discussed this on our last podcast, and as I mentioned before, sorry, goddess, Oscar bait. This is absolute Oscar bait. Because not just because of who's in it and the acting, but because of its themes. And because Hollywood, or I should say the Academy, loves a film about film. They adore this stuff. And
Pretentious assholes.
well, they are, yes.
I mean, they call themselves the Academy.
Come on now.
We're the Academy. Yes.
Oh.
That's something to aspire for, though. Like, I want to work for the Academy.
Yeah, if that's a, I don't know what you call like a job for life or just like a gem of a job. Like if you get in with the Academy, you're set for life. You never have to work again. Just do that job for. Or
How many
the
people do
the
you have to-
MPAA is another one. If you get in with the MPAA, that's a life job.
What's the NPAA?
Motion Picture Association of America, the people who make the ratings for films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a guy who just sits around just like looking at a movie, just like checking off. Okay, it has this, it has that, it has this. PG-13.
How many
Yeah.
times
Has this,
does it
has
say
that,
the
has
word
this, has
shit?
this, rated R.
Yeah.
You know,
It's got X
and
amount
just
of
doing
tits,
that
X
his
amount
whole
of fucks.
life.
Yeah.
And there's
many
a
drugs.
documentary about it
Gee.
called "This Film Is Not Yet Rated."
Oh, really?
The Land
was
Before
put-
Time. XXX.
Oh, I should look into that.
It's a phenomenal documentary. Yeah,
I don't want to see
It sounds
that
super
movie.
boring.
I'm
actually.
kind of interested.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, it's a documentary about a guy
Is it
sitting
the
at a
Triple X
desk, like checking off
movie?
boxes.
Or
It's the
it's like
30th
before time 30.
Both.
What's with you in both? You must pick one.
Nope. No, life's too short. I need both. It's going to happen.
I
Fucking
really
MPAA.
hope that when we air this, they can hear Mike and I's conversation, and then us just stopping and picking up on whatever nonsense you guys are talking about.
that's what I did. I had no idea what they're talking about, so I just stopped. But
Never mind.
the
You'll
documentary
find out
goes
later.
into the documentary goes into the fact that the MPAA is in kind of ways corrupt Because when you give a movie like a rated R rating, you're basically saying you're going to make half the money that a PG-13 film would.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Rated R films classically do not make back their money. On very rare occasions they do, like The Hangover, which was a shocker because it made like triple its budget. No one expected that.
Huh.
But classically, a rated R film for like at any time of year just does not make back the money as something PG-13 or lower, just because kids can't get in.
But
you
we were
have
like-
to kill. You have to market to kids.
We were like
kill
rooting
kids.
for
That's what I thought
Deadpool.
you
gonna say.
We have to kill the kids.
Of course we do.
We were like
I'm with
rooting
you.
for Deadpool to be rated R, but like I didn't realize that.
Well, no, Deadpool's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I know.
Don't get me wrong. People have been waiting for that for years. It's
Yeah.
gonna be perfectly fine.
Oh God, I'm so excited.
I know. But getting back to Trumbo, the cast in this looks amazing. I think Bryan Cranston looks very good as Trumbo. There's also John Goodman, who is a national treasure. He looks great in this.
One, right?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Where the 10 writers are accused of being part of the Communist Party, and then they're blacklisted and they can't work.
Never fucking heard of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there haven't been too many previews for it yet.
Okay.
Because it's probably only going to be a limited release for a while, but
Okay.
it's going to get a nationwide release in a couple weeks.
She's a communist, and I'm like, wasn't that Tom Hanks? Like,
Nah.
oh.
Yes and no.
No, but
What is the release date for this?
Trumbo is a what's that?
I just asked what the release date was.
Oh, it's supposed to be next week, next
Okay.
Friday,
Nice.
November 6th. But the premise of Trumbo, Paul, is that back in the late 40s, there were several writers who were accused of being part of the Communist Party. Now, they were big writers in Hollywood, and the government was saying, we don't want you writing films if you're going to be spreading, socialist propaganda. So they
I
blacklisted
remember the
them.
40s. I remember when that happened.
It was part of the Red Scare. And they said to them, you can't work anymore. We're not going to take away your house or whatever, but you basically just can't work in Hollywood. Well, they end up creating like a black market for screenplays. They started just writing pseudonames, sending out these screenplays for Hollywood to make because they were still great writers. And then people in Hollywood would buy up the script, put a fake name on the movie, and get it made. The most notable one they mentioned in the movie is Spartacus. Spartacus was written under a pseudonym, won 3 or 4 Academy Awards under a fake writer's name. And then after it came out, they said, look, this guy wrote this genius writer, has nothing to do with socialism, has nothing to do with communism. You recognize it as a great movie, take him off the blacklist. That's basically, it's like they proved all of Hollywood and all of America wrong just by going out and doing their craft. So it's an amazing tale. So, and that's why I'm looking forward to this. I think it's a great tale about how, in a time where we basically said, you can't express yourself, you can't have freedom of speech, still saying, no, fuck you, I'm going to get my message out no matter what you say. It's a great tale, and I'm really looking forward to this. I really want to see this.
Fight the
Sounds
power.
fun.
Yeah, fight the power.
I'm in.
I like stories about stories.
Stories about stories.
I love a good
All
story,
right.
especially when it's about a good story. Like Capote. That's a great movie. Story about a story.
Well,
I still need to see that.
Me too.
I haven't seen the whole thing, but what I've seen is fucking amazing. But Steve
I
really
had
hates
mentioned
Philip
this
Seymour
when-
Hoffman, so he won't watch it with me.
I had mentioned this when we
hates me?
talked about it. It reminds
Yes.
me of Argo. It honestly reminds me of Argo because of the cinematography, the way it's shot, and how it deals with the industry.
I had never seen that movie.
Oh, Argo was really
Yeah, I haven't seen that
Maybe
one
Ben
yet either.
Affleck actually
He's a
worked
communist.
on this movie, but under a pen name.
Oh.
It's tied all together.
Oh, boy.
What's a twist?
Shut the fuck up, Kim.
That's why you
Yeah, I
didn't watch
should.
Argo, because you hate Ben.
Huh?
He hates Affleck.
Oh.
It doesn't like it. Doesn't like it at all.
It hurts us.
Okay.
Anything else about Trumbo before we move on?
Threading.
Dreading?
Threading.
Oh.
I will see it in the theaters.
Okay, fair enough. But you are threading it.
Threading.
Nice. Okay.
I want to see a trailer
Enchantment.
for it first, but it
Enchantment.
sounds interesting.
Enchantment.
Drama. Sorry, Paul. Sorry. Moving on from that.
Sandal.
We've
Yeah.
been here in like a year.
Yep.
There's all kinds of
That would have
inside
been a
jokes.
fun costume to do.
Oh God.
Yep, doing that one year.
Moving on from that, we have the Peanuts movie.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. This looks like a blast. I've been looking forward to this for almost a year now because when Blue Sky first released this trailer, a little tiny snippet of just Charlie playing with Snoopy, it looked perfect. I was like, the 2D renderings in 3D animation look fantastic, and I think the plot is straight out of the comics. You know, it's about the little red-haired girl.
Yeah, curly redhead girl. Yeah.
And the animation could be too fast. You know, it's what 3D animation does. Everything moves quicker now, and everyone's talking faster with quicker comedy, which is okay. But that's not what the Peanuts is, you know? And I think for what this is going to be, I think the slower style with the simple comedy is going to work perfect in this. I'm really excited for this.
I'm torn because I want to like it and it looks good, but at the same time, I'm really nostalgic about the originals too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if it'll live up to what I want it to be. You know what I mean?
And that's fair. That is fair.
But you don't know unless you give it a try.
Right. But at the same time,
I've given him that line too. It doesn't work.
you know, I understand your worries about it. I mean, there have been things where I've been really nostalgic for a certain property. I mean, I went in that way to Jurassic World. You know, I was really nostalgic for Jurassic Park, and I was like, you know, is this going to live up to that film? I mean, you can argue about 2 and 3 if you want, but I didn't want another bad sequel to that series.
Right.
Just like you love the original Peanuts, you don't want a bad Peanuts film.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you could really argue there are any bad Peanuts movies. You know, they're very simple.
Yeah.
You know? But I think it's that simplicity that's going to work for this. It's just a simple story, and I think it'll work well.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look awful. For sure.
Nah. Yeah.
Well, that's something.
No, like I
That's
had
my
mentioned.
endorsement. Yeah.
Like I had mentioned, if it came out and the Peanuts characters looked like the Chipmunks or
Right.
the Smurfs,
Yes.
it'd be like, no, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
We're not watching this.
Right.
Or, you know, if they made them in, like, the real world or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Right.
the animated characters walking around the room. Yeah, that would have been atrocious. And they didn't do that.
Yeah.
Which I'm really happy that they didn't go down that road.
Yes.
So, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, we have The Hallow. Now, we just talked about this in the last podcast.
Hollow or the hollow?
The Hallow. This was the one about the family living in rural Ireland, about the demons and fairies and pixies living in the forest.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting. I haven't seen that trailer either.
Well, it
That
looks.
comes out?
It comes out next Friday. Yeah.
Oh.
Which I was gonna mention. It comes out the week after Halloween. Seems to me they kind of missed an opportunity on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story of this, Paul, is that it's a family from England moving to rural Ireland.
Scary.
And they discover that the woods outside their new home is inhabited by local spirits. These spirits being from, like, Gaelic tradition, like ancient
Yes.
fairies and pixies.
The old Fey folk.
Yeah, and satyrs and things like that.
Okay.
And they basically say, if you enter our woods, we're going to enter your home. That's what it basically turns into. It's like, oh, well, if you've come into our land, great. We're going to go into your home and fuck your shit up. And it looks like, these don't look like happy pixies or like happy little fairies. Like, they
Pixies are notoriously not happy creatures.
Oh, I know that. But I mean,
Did you-
in the
Bob
West,
Ross,
we've kind of made
thank
them
you.
look
That's
cute.
exactly where my brain went.
And this story's like, no, they aren't cute at all.
Little monsters with wings.
Right. I like, and I remember when we first saw the trailer for this, I was like, this looks pretty damn good. I like movies that dive into these mythos, you know, and tell visual stories, you know, just looking at a character, looking at this creature, you kind of know what it's about.
Right.
You know, and I like that. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope it gets a nationwide release in America, and it should. I think it's already been released in England by this point, and we're getting our American release in a week and a half.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. I'll probably want to see it.
Sounds good.
Maybe. I'd
Maybe
have to see the
Tuesday.
trailer again. I don't know.
Moving on to our final feature presentation, which is Spectre.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
This is gonna be the first Bond movie I've ever seen in the theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
Ever?
I didn't grow up in like a Bond household. Like I get made fun of a lot because like I didn't grow up in like that like Godfather household or like Bond household. So I didn't know what Bond was about until probably about 3
Few
or 4
people
years
grew
ago.
up in the Godfather household. I mean, I don't know if your father was a capo or not. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, you know what I was saying, you
Mom
clever
jokes.
son of a bitch. But like, so I've never seen The Godfather. I've never seen Scarface. But
Wait, still?
Like still, like I just haven't
Really?
gotten around to it. I don't
All
know.
right, end the podcast. We got stuff
Yeah,
to get.
all right.
we got stuff to get
We
through.
got stuff to
Holy
do.
shit.
But I didn't even know what the Bond movies were about until probably like 3 years ago. I made friends with a guy who was a huge Bond fan, and he was like trying to talk up one of the movies, and I stopped him, and I'm like, "Look, I've never seen a James Bond movie," and he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I'm like, "No," and he's like,
Punched you in the mouth.
He's like, "You're a huge comic book fan. Why have you never seen this?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure that's the same thing." And he's like, "He's a super spy. All of his villains are like ridiculously campy,
Yes.
and like all of this shit." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, like you have no idea what these movies are about?" I'm like, no, I mean I knew he was a spy. I didn't know he had gadgets, but that's it. And then I saw one of the Connery movies. I've seen 2 of the Brosnan movies, and I've seen all of the Craig movies.
Okay.
And we marathoned the Craig movies one weekend. They were the first ones I saw.
Yeah.
And so now I've seen other ones like as they've been on TV. And so this one now coming out, I'm like, Steve, this is gonna be the first Bond movie I've seen in the theaters. And he's like, I'm so excited. And I'm like, I'm seeing that shit in IMAX.
Yeah, I think I saw all of the Pierce Brosnan ones in the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
We were like 8 when like 6 when his first one came out.
No, we weren't.
No.
I was in elementary
Golden-
school when his first one came out.
No, GoldenEye came
Golden-
out in 95.
Yeah.
So I would have been 10.
So yeah, I was 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember I saw GoldenEye in theaters. I love GoldenEye.
Yeah. That tank chase to this day
Oh
is
god,
so good.
we were just talking about it the other day,
Yes,
weren't we?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so over the
It's
top,
the
but
best.
it's so good.
the statue on the top.
It's so good.
I've never seen any of the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies,
Really?
and I only saw the one Daniel Craig one.
Casino Royale.
Yeah, I like there was just one like when I was not too much younger, and it was like one weekend they had on Spike or something. They showed like all the old ones. I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch all these. So I watched all the old ones first. I watched Sean Connery
that's
and Roger
fine, yeah.
Moore, and then after I watched those, I'm like, I don't want to watch these other ones. I like these old ones way better. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
What was
watch
funny,
any other.
Yeah, the Connery and Roger Moore ones are really good.
Yeah.
we marathoned them because like Skyfall had just come out on DVD. And Steve was like, "Oh man, I kind of want to see that. Like, don't you love James Bond?" And I kind of did that whole like, "Well, I've never actually seen one." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've never seen a James Bond." So I went through the whole thing that I just went through, and he was
We
like,
need to talk.
He's like, "Okay, the new ones are prequels, so why don't we do those? Because it's like a whole different story, and then like we'll watch the other ones." And I was like, "Okay."
They're not exactly prequels.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Well,
some people
it's
rational-
a reboot.
Yeah, it's more of a reboot than
Yeah.
a prequel.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that's what he said. It's a reboot. But
Reboot.
this is also
Yes.
this one is the second official sequel
Good word.
in the Bond saga.
Yes.
All of the other ones were like standalone, except for Quantum of Solace was a sequel to Casino Royale, and this one's a direct sequel to Skyfall. All of the other ones are standalone.
I mean, there were
I'm
some
an expert because I've
like-
seen 4 fucking movies.
there were some like
Apparently.
like Thunderball and others that all dealt with Spectre, and so Spectre was a common theme throughout all the
Yeah.
old Bond films. But that
there
wasn't
were
that didn't really
ones-
make it a sequel. Like the only reoccurring villain you saw was Jaws. in
Right.
a couple
Right.
of he was the only one who
Right,
ever
that's
came
what I was
back.
gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah, and Roger Moore was like, "Not you again," or something
Right.
ridiculous like that.
Oh, nuts.
Yeah, he was in Jaws was in the second one was Moonraker, but I forget the
Yeah.
first one he was in.
License to kill.
I get them all.
I thought maybe the Man with the Golden Gun. That doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Anyway, as far as Spectre is concerned, yeah, really looking forward to it. I think it looks amazing.
Yeah,
Me too.
It's rumored that this is going to be his last Bond film.
yeah.
And I know Dystopian, you had said you kind of like that.
Well, I don't.
Well, not that
I
you
don't know
like
if I
it, but
like
that
it.
you
I think it's okay because and I could be making this up. I thought Craig had said that he didn't want to do anymore, and if he's not in it, if his heart's not in it, then yeah, he shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
I mean, I had said a couple of things about that. First off, most Bonds, I think, we saw Brosnan do 4 films. That seems like a pretty good number, you know? Craig has 4 films. I mean,
Right.
Connery had 8, I think. And
I
then
don't know.
Roger Moore had 5 or 6. Timothy Dalton had 2. Then there was the one guy in the middle who had one. I forget who that guy was. The random guy. That
Someone
always
they didn't invite back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll call you.
Yeah. We're not calling.
Well, I had heard I had heard that there was a rumor that the different James Bonds, like the actors, all played like a different person under like the codename James Bond.
Yes.
And that like part of the reboot was that they were like introducing the original James Bond, because in Skyfall, the guy knows him as James Bond from his childhood.
Yes.
And
same thing with this Inspector. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Christoph Waltz routinely refers to him as like someone he's known his whole life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then like, because I got confused when I heard all these, like, people wanted Idris Elba to play Bond next, and I'm like, look, not that like he couldn't, because I'm sure he's a great actor, but Bond's a white man, like that's who he is. And they were like, yeah, but Bond is like just kind of like a title, so like
Just
somebody,
like 007. It's just a code name, right?
yeah, and like they go together, and they were like, so he could take over as the new James Bond, like his character could just be the new James Bond.
Right.
It's just a new person taking on that role. And I was
Right.
like, oh, well, that'd be fucking cool.
Right.
Like, as long as he was sipping martinis and fucking bitches. And I'm
Right.
like, do it.
YOLO. Yeah.
That's the new Bond film, YOLO.
Wasn't it Yodo?
Yeah, it was Yolt. The original was Yolt.
You only live... Well,
Twice.
you only live once. And then you only live twice, right?
Yeah.
And then it was... Isn't it you only die once? Wasn't there one like that?
No, there's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies. That's what-
Die Another Day.
Okay.
And then...
That's like a Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
Die Hard Another Day.
Die Another Day was god awful. That was one where Brosnan was like, okay, I think I'm done. Because it was so campy and over the top. And Halle Berry had no right being a Bond girl.
I hate Halle
Whoa,
Berry.
shots fired. Easy
No,
now.
I'm so no, she didn't.
Careful.
Same with what's her name, Denise Richards.
Oh, yeah. Didn't she play like a scientist
She
or some
played
shit?
a nuclear scientist.
What the fuck are you trying to kid?
Like what? No. The fuck.
Plausible to me.
Okay.
But
Right.
I had two thoughts. I mean,
thought
just to sum
That's
this up,
herself.
Totally.
two thoughts about that. I would kind of want to see Craig for one more, because I mentioned this before. I kind of want to see his wife be a Bond girl, and that's Rachel Weisz. I think that would be kind of cool. But the second thing is, if someone new has to come in,
Really?
yeah, you didn't know that?
No. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz are married.
I mean, she could still be a Bond girl, but
I mean, she's a little older, but she's 44, 45, I think.
so I'm just
Well,
saying,
hell,
like,
Monica Bellucci or whatever.
if she,
she's like
right.
50
he left,
something.
she could
Right.
still be one. Mm-hmm. Or do you just want to see their on-screen chemistry? Because you know that like usually when couples do that, they fucking divorce. You just want to break them up so you can get Rachel Weisz.
No, that's not it.
It's the cat's out of the bag, kid.
I already know.
She's like, it's all right. I want Daniel Craig. We're in this
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But
It's a perfect plan.
We'll be swingers together.
Hey-o. Okay.
whoa.
I mean,
No,
I
license
hadn't
to
thought
swing.
about that before. No, I'm just kidding.
No, the
Put my
other
notebook away.
Yeah, apparently not.
the
Kimberly Craig. I think I like it.
other real thanks.
I didn't know I was back in middle school.
Yeah.
Really? You
We
didn't?
never leave. You never really leave.
But the other thought is, if this is Craig's last film, the new Bond should be Fassbender. It really should be.
Fassbender's
You
the-
mean? Yeah, you mean
Yeah.
from
yes, it should.
Steve
Yeah.
Christie.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, we had just saw Friday the 13th, the original, before coming on this podcast, and the dystopian The Goddess made the brilliant
No,
observation.
I did not observe it at all.
It was just the dystopian.
It
at
was
first.
just me.
And
me
we're
all
watching
along.
it, and the character Steve from Friday the 13th, right in the beginning, is like, "Oh my God, it's Fassbender in disguise."
It
Sure enough,
totally
you look
looks-
at him, and it just looks like a '70s Fassbender.
It
does.
absolutely does.
It's like he's wearing a disguise with the fucking false nose,
And
the
the
glasses,
mustache.
and the
Mustache.
mustache, all in one.
Everyone, go watch the first Friday the 13th and tell us that character isn't Fassbender.
It's
To which I
him.
said he's a time traveler,
Yes.
and then that made Paul excited because, oh look,
He's the Time Lord.
He's the Time Lord. He's
Yes.
the Doctor.
Right.
It might not be the Doctor. He could just be another
Yeah,
Time
another
Lord.
Time Lord.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's racist. There's more than one Time
That's
Lord.
not how that works.
Uh-huh.
Anyway,
It is. Just because someone's black doesn't mean it's Morgan Freeman. I mean, it probably is.
Well,
okay, let's
just
end this
'cause they're
now.
timeless
Stop.
doesn't mean they're the
Stop.
doctor.
We're stopping this now.
Let's fix that in post. Just have crickets chirping or something more.
Morgan Freeman's gonna like message me and be like, yes, it does.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So thank you all for joining us for our Halloween podcast. I want to thank the goddess of gore for coming by.
Absolutely.
She's always here.
Not always. She's missed some.
God, they both gave me the weirdest puppy dog look at the same time.
Your head's gonna just explode.
I
now.
know. Like, I don't know what to do.
Turn to scanners.
Oh no!
Do this the scanner way.
I'm gonna have a nightmare.
That's a scene right there that'll give you nightmares.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What is?
The scanners? You ever seen Scanners? It's about people with telepathy, and if they want to, they can just make your head explode.
Oh, that's cool.
And like this guy is trying to there's a scene in the movie that's an iconic scene. This guy's trying to show others in the audience what scanners really do, and he's goes to another guy who ends up is a scanner, trying to like probe his mind, and he's fighting back, and you just see his head swelling until eventually it just explodes and just covers the audience and nice.
Brain matter.
Yeah, matter.
Brain matter.
Like, holy fuck. Yeah, that's a good. We should have brought that one up earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one
God.
more.
We're
The
not
Thing,
getting by.
the original, The Thing.
Oh no!
The chest opening. That scene as a child. No, I can't trust anyone ever.
Yeah, right. You're all out to get me. You're all evil aliens that are gonna turn on me at any moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No one ever performed CPR ever.
Said I wasn't.
Ever I see a defibrillator scene in a movie now, I have to think of The Thing.
Right.
Ugh. But I want to thank the Dystopian for coming by.
Always good to be here. I'm gonna watch that Mark Twain video.
Oh God! Ugh!
And
No!
Just never sleep ever again.
I want to thank the Superhuman Aficionado for coming by.
Happy to be here.
Glad you come back.
I'm trying. I do when I can. You originally said you wanted to have this last night, and I was like, no, I work. No, Sunday. I'm sorry. You said you wanted to do one Sunday.
No, we're going to do it Saturday morning.
Whatever.
Well,
You wanted to do it Sunday.
You
And
shouldn't drink so much.
I don't remember a lot of that night.
I know. You still don't.
So I got home. All right, well, let's wrap this up.
Right. Not going to share that on the podcast.
Yeah, let's not.
And I, once again, am the Projectionist. And for those of you who have any horror stories of your own, as far as what you saw when you were a child in film and TV, or what you've read, any moment, go ahead and share it with us. Something that scared the living hell out of you. Go ahead and let us know what that is, and we'll tell you what we think.
Or anything I've ever said that has just horrified you.
That too.
Jeez.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. Have a very happy Halloween, and take care.
Bye.